My main superpower is my email list. And I used to teach this all the time in photo business help courses, but it's like the email list. I can sell out my mini sessions in 24 hours just by sending one email, and it's really powerful, because people are waiting. Because my pop-up and my lead magnet on my site is just want a couple good ones on a budget, and I have so many people just like, yeah, that sounds good, and like signing up to that list. Um, I announce it via my email list, and then I announce it on social, which is predominantly Instagram and Facebook for photography. Um, and I just have a combination of probably 75% repeat clients, and then I usually get about 25% new clients. But I've been really fortunate that when I started back in 2009, 2010, I really got into SEO stuff. So my SEO is pretty good for my area. And I've had to do very, very little marketing to have a pretty solid photo business, since those first few years. But the email list, whoever's listening that doesn't have one, have one. That's all I can say is it is one of the most powerful tools in my business, hands down. When COVID hit, I sent out an email in April and I said, if you're able to pay it forward, I'm not going to be able to work for a while. But if you think that within the next year you're going to want to do a family session with me, I'm giving a discount because it's COVID times. But if you can book it now in full, that would help me a lot. And I made like close to $10,000 with that one email.
Oh, wow.
And it was just clients that I have on the email list that were like, yeah, we're going to do photos. So, okay, cool. We'll pay for our shoot now, and it saved me, during that weird time when we couldn't really shoot. And so just there's so many unique ways, and not to mention just staying in touch with your client base and letting them know what you're up to, or, it doesn't have to be a sale every time that you reach out to them. But that's the main way that I book my minis for sure, is that email list.
Yes, when COVID hit, I sent out an email to all my clients that, like, if you're not human, because the restrictions over here in the UK were so drastic. It's like, if you're not human and you want me to photograph you, then come along. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. So
I know,
yeah,
right?
I did a little bit of product photography in that time, which was interesting. So yeah, not something I'd ordinarily be drawn to, especially because it's really difficult to have a conversation, with a bar of soap.
Right? Yeah, I did food photography for a while, and actually I didn't mind it. I met some really cool chefs and got to see some cool places, but I was the same way. I'm personally drawn to, as I said, movement and emotion and stuff like that. So people are my jam.
Yeah, I started this podcast in a pandemic because what else could I do? I couldn't really talk to anybody else, so that was it.
Yeah,
that was it.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it was like in Minnesota, but over here it was drastic.
Yeah, there were phases of it that were pretty drastic here, and I think everywhere. And I think for those of us that are in a service-based business, it was tough for a while.
Yeah, it was absolutely killer. But there's always an opportunity in everything. How often do you do mini sessions? Do you do once a year, or do you do it several times a year? How's it work?
I usually do a spring round that's pretty minimal, maybe 1 or 2 days, and then my big chunk is in the fall. I offer probably about 10 days in the fall, and usually I'll start with maybe 6 to 8 days, but they fill up, as I said, which is beautiful, and I love it. And then I'll add days as I need to, because people be like, "Oh, I didn't get the day I wanted," And so over the years, it's just grown into a thing where I have to be careful, actually, because my business is morphing into a huge chunk of my income is now mini sessions. Maybe, not like a huge chunk, but a good sizable portion of it. And I don't want to get away from all of the other stuff that I do, where people just want to do mini sessions. So I have to have a little bit of scarcity built in, where it's like, this is the last one that is available for this year, so that people don't feel like they're just available anytime. Because if they're just available anytime, they're a pretty good deal, and they're very quick and easy, and all the things that I market are true. And so it's like, well, then no one's gonna want to do the other ones. But on the flip side of that, I've gotten some really beautiful new clients that love their mini session images and say, we'd really love to have you to the house so that we can do an actual thing with our dog and bake cookies or whatever. So it works as kind of like a business card in that regard, where it's like, okay, give it a try. Do you like it? Let's do something else. And so I just have to put up those boundaries, with the sessions and not have them all year.
Yeah, I mean, on the flip side, I guess it's a great opportunity to add, contacts to your email list and grow that through those, and and then upsell. Use it as as an opportunity to upsell into other products potentially. Like especially animals. Animals are always cool.
Yeah, I definitely do a lot of pet stuff, and especially because I had that really good experience with my own dog. And I always encourage people, like, all the people or all the things you love with a heartbeat that you think you'll be sad one day when they're not around, like, bring them to the photo shoot, so I get more parents and grandparents and dogs and cats. I had bunnies a couple weeks ago, so whatever, whatever whatever you want to bring.
So I really like your sort of take on the business side. It's probably no surprise because I first, I've first known of you through your podcast called the Photo Business Help Podcast.
Yeah, it was really organic because I was, I started the business in 2010, and right around 2013 or so, I started to get a lot more emails in the door that were like, "Hey, how did you do this?" Or "What are you using for your albums?" Or how do you do your blog posts?" Tech, remember everybody, like, Instagram was brand new. Tech was not as good as it is now. And so to make, just for example, like a beautiful seamless blog post with the perfect amount of pixels in between each image and all these, like, that was something people had to figure out how to do. It wasn't just inherent. So there were a million different things that people would ask me, like, "How did you do this? How did you do this?" And because I was obsessive myself and trying to figure out how to do it for my own business, I just started doing like a little workshop at the Minneapolis Photo Center here and there. And then that workshop got really popular. And I thought, well, I should just, like, get some private coaching clients and help photographers do what I do. Because there's a lot of information from start to finish if you've never done any of it. And I was always really clear, like, this is not a how to shoot course. Like, this is how to set up your business course. And then I started the podcast because I found myself just saying the same things over and over again. And it felt like a great way to get all of this information out, and then also serve, like many podcasts do, as a way to get folks in the door to my coaching stuff. And so that's predominantly how that kind of evolved. But it was really organic. It was not something that I set out to do by any means. So
thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed that clip, then press here for the full episode in glorious Technicolor. Hey, and don't forget to subscribe.